Hi, so today we are doing a banded yoga class using mini bands. So the mini bands are about 30 centimeters in length when they're folded like so. So we can do this whole practice with just one band, which could be a medium or light resistance. But if you happen to have a set of bands, which a lot of them are sold in, then hopefully you've got a high resistance band, so a tough one, medium resistance and a light resistance. So if you've got those three bands, brilliant. Otherwise, we can make do with the one medium or light. So we're going to start with our medium or light, and of course you can change all of these to suit you, whether you want to, whether you're just starting out with resistance bands, or you're using resistance bands to help you to get a little bit stronger or to aid injury recovery, that sort of thing. Go for the light one if you wish. If you've been using them for a while and you want to give yourself a bit of a challenge, go for a higher resistance. So we're starting today with a band around just above the ankles. So just stay here with the feet as wide as you need to get some resistance going on in the band. So we're grounding down through the outer edge of the feet, feeling the arches lifting a little bit, grounding down through the big toe mound and the heels. So from there, we are going to simply start to circle the hips. And as we do so, we're going to allow the weight to shift around the edges of the feet. So you'll feel like you're moving onto the outer edge of one foot, into the heel, and then the outer edge of the other foot, and then into the toes. So we're allowing the weight to really shift through the outer edges of the feet. And then we'll take that circular motion with the hips in the other direction, allowing the weight to transfer through the feet. Okay, and then what we're going to do is stay nice and upright, coming up onto the toes, lifting the heels and then lowering the heels down. So lifting and lowering the heels a couple more times. And then what we can do is allow the weight to shift into the heels, lifting the toes up. So we're shifting the weight from heels to toes, keeping that band active all the time. Okay, so coming back to centre, let's bend the knees a little bit. So we're staying upright, so we're just in this high squat position. And from there, we can continue with this weight shifting. So lift one heel and maybe the whole foot, and then moving over to the other side. So do that nice and slow and controlled if you can. Okay, brilliant. Coming back to centre there. All right, so let's bring the feet together again. So we can take the band off the feet, and we're going to transfer the band onto the forearms. So it's just above the wrists, or closer up towards the elbows if you prefer. So from here, we're going to stay nice and upright once more as we reach the arms up towards the ceiling and then pop them down again. So we're keeping the band active, shoulders rolled down, reach the arms up and lower them down. Okay, so from there, we're going to reach the arms up, keep the band active and reach on over to the right hand side into this side bend and over to the other direction. So there's two things you can do here. You can do what I'm doing, which is keeping the hips relatively still as you move side to side, or you can push the hips in the other direction to your hands, creating more of a C shape with the body. Whichever works for you, just keep that band active between the arms. So we're drawing the hands away from each other a little bit, but we're not trying to stretch the band too much, we're just stopping the band from sagging. And then we'll come back to centre, bringing the hands down to the sides. Okay, let's release the band from one hand and bring it round behind us so that we can have the band across the forearms again, but behind the body this time. So once again, we're just making that band active. We're pulling the hands apart a little bit, not trying to stretch the band overly, but not allowing it to sag. So from here, just make sure the feet are about hip distance wide. We're going to bend the knees into this high squat position again and come back down. And bend the knees again. So we're more into a chair pose now, so that those knees are as bent as you can happily go. And then next time we lift up, we're going to come up onto the balls of the feet. So we're lifting the heels again. Keep that band active. Keep the shoulder blades drawn down the back. We're going to bend the knees again. Either stay in that high squat or bend the knees even further so that we come into more of a chair pose, keeping that band active again. And then we'll come all the way up, staying on the balls of the feet, and then drop the heels down. Let's go for that again. So lifting the heels, bending the knees, back into that chair pose. Find your balance again if you lose it. And then from our chair pose, we're going to draw the ribs down towards the thighs, keeping the heels raised if we can, and reach the arms up. Keeping the band active and reaching the arms up towards the ceiling, even above the head if that's what's happening with your shoulders. Bringing the hands down, drawing the ribs away from the thighs, coming back into that chair position, and then coming all the way to stand onto the toes before we drop the heels down. Well done. Let's release the band from behind us. Okay, so if you have a lighter band, go for that one now. So with our lighter band, we're going to pop it around our right foot, right around the centre of the foot. And then we're going to keep the feet about hip distance wide, come on up to stand. So I've got hold of the band now, nice firm grip on the band. You can just get that just by hooking the fingers. And then we're standing nice and upright here. So don't allow the band to be drawing the shoulder down. Try and stay upright with the shoulders square. And just hold it there for a moment or two. And then we're going to allow the band to recoil, so it's bringing us back into that side bend. And then we're coming back to those square shoulders again. So a couple more times into that side bend. And just as we did before, we can push the hips in the other direction if you wish. And then come all the way back up. Okay, we're going to bring the band onto the other foot. Okay, so come on up to stand, keep those shoulders square, take a moment or two there. Then we're going to allow the band to recoil into our side bend and come back up again. So we're keeping the arm straight, we're not pulling the band up with the arm, we're allowing the body to bring us back up with the action of that side bend. Come all the way back up. Lovely. And release the band. We're going to pop the band onto the other foot once more. Come on up to stand, but hold the band with the opposite hand. So I've got the band around my right foot and in my left hand. I'm going to step my left foot back for a curtsy squat. So the left foot comes further back than that front foot. That front knee can bend. from here, we can reach the other arm up towards the sky or have it onto the hip, whichever you fancy. And then we're going to bend the knees into a curtsy squat and then come to stand back up again. Taking that a couple more times, so both knees bent and come on back up. So we're staying upright in the torso. Again, we're just allowing ourselves to be brought up by the whole body rather than the hand. So just allow the arm to stay straight. And we'll do that one more. And then we'll swap on over to the other side. So popping the band over the left foot, grabbing a hold of it with the right hand. Let's step that right leg back for our curtsy. Hand to the sky, onto the hip, or just hanging out to the side. And don't worry how low you go in this curtsy squat. You may well be tapping the floor with that back knee, or you may well just be bending the knees slightly. It doesn't matter so long as we're staying pretty upright here. Last one. And then we'll come all the way back. Releasing the band from the leg. Okay, so now come to stand at the top of your mat for me. So we're going to once again pop that band around the right foot. Feel free to bring the hands down to the floor to step you back to a low lunge. So we've got the band around the right foot, left knee's back into our low lunge. Grab a hold of the band with both hands. So I've got my elbows tucked into the sides and my hands in front of me, like I'm doing a bicep curl with a weight. Okay? So hold on, keeping that bicep curl. Have the toes tucked under, the back toes, and we're going to lift to a high lunge and then lower. So we're keeping the torso upright. But don't worry if you end up leaning forwards, just feel like you're drawing the crown of the head away from the hips. So if you're leaning forwards, we're not folding forwards, we're opening, we're keeping nice and upright in the torso. We'll do that a couple more times. Oh, let's do one more. And then lower it down again. Release that band. We can swap on over to our lunge on the other side and then pop the band around the left foot. Okay. Make sure your lunge isn't too long here because you might not have enough length in the band or strength in the legs to lift up. So take a hold of the band. Keep into that bicep curl, so elbows are tucked in, palms turned up towards the sky. We're going to lift and lower 5 times. Apologies if you can hear my knee. And then lower all the way down. And remove the band. Okay, lovely. Again, if you have a medium band, grab a hold of that one, but lightweight is just fine for today. So, we're going to pop the band around the feet. So make sure it's around the feet rather than the heels or the ankles. It's around the tops of the feet. Come on into all fours. And then we're going to push it back into a downward facing dog. Okay. So take a few moments there in your down dog and just take your feet wide enough that that band is active on the feet. So again, we don't want to be trying to pull the feet apart too much, nor do we want the band to be sagging here. So from our down dog, just take it a couple of times into a plank pose and back to a downward dog. Moving forwards, plank pose to down dog. Last time. Okay. So now, as we move forwards into a plank, we're going to bring our right knee towards the right elbow and take it back. Let's do that 2 more times. Knee to elbow and take it back. Knee to elbow, take it back. Now one last time, bringing that right knee to the right elbow, hold it there and circle the knee outwards. And then take it back. Okay, one more. Knee to elbows, we come into that plank. Now circle the knee inwards. And then take it back to that downward dog. Okay, let's go for the other side. So forwards into the plank. So bring the knee towards the left elbow. Take it back. Knee to elbow. Take it back. Knee to elbow once again. Take it back. Okay, once more. Knee to elbow. Circle the knee outwards. And then take it back. And bring that knee forward, circle the knee inwards. And take it back. Lovely. Pop the knees down, remove the band from the feet. And we're going to come to sit onto the bottom. Okay. So, if you have 3 bands, we're going to use all of them. If you have just one band, just do this first bit here. So if you have a strong resistance band, that one is going to go around the thighs. So the strongest band you have goes around the thigh. The other, not quite so strong band goes around the shins, quite low towards the ankles. And if you have a third band, a light band, we're going to have that in the hands. If you happen to have 2 bands, you can use a yoga strap or dressing gown cord or anything else for holding in the hands. So we're going to come to lie on the back, and our third band here, our lightweight band, is going to go around the forearms. So take your time, just lie on the mat with the knees bent, feet flat down on the floor. And we're going to draw the feet wide enough that that band's active. And we're going to draw the knees wide enough that that band's active around the thighs. Okay. So now let's reach our arms up to the sky, and we're going to make sure that band's active across the arms as well. So we're going to take a few bridge raises. So as we ground down to the heels, inhale, lifting the hips up towards the sky, we're going to reach the arms above the head and tap the floor with the hands. As we drop the hips down to the floor, we're going to bring the hands in front of us again. And then inhale, lift the hips, lift the arms. Exhale, lower the hips, lower the hands. So continue with those bridge raises, but really focus on keeping those bands active all the time. Again, not trying to extend them out as far as possible, just that active, sustainable drawing out of the bands. And the next time your hips lower, hold it there. Allow your knees to draw together, your feet to draw together for a little moment, relaxing the arms. Okay. So when you're ready, we're going to now lift the knees so that the knees are above the hips, and lift the feet so the feet are at knee height, and reach the arms in front of us. Before we do anything else here, try drawing your mid back into the mat, so the back of your ribs drawing into the mat. You may feel a little bit more comfortable with a bit more of an arch, but play around with it, see what works for you. We want to be feeling the core muscles here. So Now, all we're going to do is stay here. So we're going to draw the knees wide enough and the feet wide enough and the hands wide enough that we've got that band, those bands active. And we're going to keep drawing the mid back into the mat. And we're going to hold it here for 5 breaths. Just 2 more breaths. Last one. Okay, draw the knees in or pop the feet down to the floor. Okay, so in a moment we're going to rock ourselves up. So feel free to have a little watch of what we're doing and then you can join me. So our arms and legs can move, keep the bands active and just rock up and down the mat. So join me now if you haven't started already. And try your best to hold it at a hover as you get towards the top. And the next time you rock up, see if you can hold it there into a bridge pose, into a boat pose, sorry. So we're drawing the belly towards the thighs, lifting the chest up towards the sky. Let's reach the arms up as well and really draw the bands apart as much as we can, feeling like the ribs and the thighs are separate yet drawing towards each other. Keep those bands active. And then pop the feet down to the floor. Well done. We're going to get rid of those bands. Okay, and then keep one of them, light or medium weight. Come on up to standing and turn to the wide edge, the long edge of your mat so we can take the feet out wide. Okay, bring the band onto your forearms or you can hold the band in the hands, whichever your preference is. Draw the heels together ever so slightly. We're going to bend the knees, allow the bottom to sink towards the floor for a goddess. And we're going to reach the arms in front of us, activating that band. So stay in your goddess with your bottom sinking low, nowhere lower than the knees, grounding down through the outer edge of the feet. And we're going to move the hands from side to side. If you get a little bit of movement with your legs as well, that's fine. You don't have to stay completely still. We're just adding a little bit of a torso twist here. Okay. Coming back to centre, reach the arms up towards the sky and take your little side bends here, staying in our goddess squat. Coming back to centre, bring the hands in front of you, straighten the legs and grab a hold of the band now with one hand. Okay, so parallel your feet, have your band in your right hand and we're going to turn the right toes towards the top of the mat. Or you may be facing away from the screen as well, it depends on the orientation of your mat. We're going to bend that front knee. So we've got right knee bent and holding the band in the right hand. Make sure you're holding the band so that it's just resting in between your thumb and first finger. And then we're going to grab a hold of the other end, just with the first 2 fingers and the thumb. So reach the right hand forwards, keep the right knee bent, grounding down through that back foot. And then we're going to open the bands, trying to open the ribs to the wide edge of the mat and then allow the band to recoil. So that front arm's staying where it is. We're opening that back arm as though we're pulling a bow and arrow. Let's do that 3 more times. So we're opening the ribs to the wide edge of the mat and then the ribs can draw forwards if they need to. Open it out, opening that back shoulder as wide as you can. Last time. And then release. Lovely. Let's straighten out the legs, parallel the feet. We're going in the other direction. So Turning the left toes out, bending that front knee, holding the band in the left hand between the thumb and the first finger. Reach that left hand forwards, pull the band back with the right, open through the ribs. And we'll do that 4 more times. So really feel like you're opening the ribs and drawing that back shoulder out as well. 2 more times. And then release, paralleling the feet. Lovely. Shuffle the feet together, turn to face towards the top of the mat or towards the screen. And we're going to pop the band around the ankles now. So once our bands are medium or lightweight, even strong resistance if you want to, we're popping that band around the ankles, taking the feet out wide. Okay, so just start to weight shift again, but keep the toes on the floor. So as you lift one heel, allow the weight to shift down into that other leg, so that we're keeping the band active, yet we're grounding down through one foot and then the other. So the next time you ground down through your left leg, start to lift your right toes away from the floor, but keep the band active. And now see if you can open that right foot out, directly out to the side, and let the band recoil. If you're struggling with balance, find a wall and just pop the hand onto a wall. Okay, pop that foot down again. We're going to go over to the other side, so allow the weight to shift over to the other side. Start to lift the toes, so we're staying nice and upright on this one side. Again, find a wall if you need to, and open the leg directly out to the side. Okay, so bring that foot back down to the floor. Once again, we're shifting our weight over to the other side. Start to lift the toes up, and then this time we're going to bring the foot backwards. So this foot doesn't have to come far forward. Keep the resistance on the band. So we're kicking the foot back, really making not only our inner hip but also our glute to work. And let's take that over to the other side. So weight shifts down into the other leg. Open that left leg out, kick it back. And we'll bring that foot all the way to the floor. If you need to have a little rest and bring your feet together for a moment, please do. We've got one more thing to do here. We're going to shift the weight over into the left leg again. Start to pick the right foot up. Now tap the floor in front and tap the floor behind. So it's like we're doing a semicircular motion with the foot. One last one. And then we'll come all the way back. Okay, let's go over to the other side. So shifting the weight into that right foot, lifting the left. And let's do that semicircular motion. Last one. And then come all the way back. Bring the feet together, release the band from the legs. Feel free to give your legs a little shake out. Okay, brilliant. So for this next bit, you will need a block or something that can work as a block, something brick shape or thereabouts. You could even use a cushion or a couple of cushions for this if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to stick with a medium resistance band and popping that band around the shins just above the ankles. Make sure it's just above the ankles, because if it's too far close towards the knees, we lose what we're trying to do here. So we're going to come to lie on the mat. We're going to pop our block in between the knees. So make sure it's this way round, sort of not the narrow a bit wider, but not too wide. So the middle width. And we're going to lift the knees up so that they're above the hips. So keep that block in between the knees. Bring the hands to the floor, and we're going to pull the feet away from each other here. So squeezing the block between the knees and pulling the feet away from each other. So if you've got a very light resistant band here, you may find this is it's too light and you're not able to get into this too much. Feel free then, if you have got a really lightweight band, take the block wider so that you're able to push out a bit further into the bands. Okay, so now pop the block down to your side, bring the band up over the thighs. Okay, so if you've got a strong band, you might prefer to use that one here. So we're going to pop the block between the ankles and keep those knees above the hips. You might even prefer to bring the block in between the feet because it's difficult to keep it there between the ankles. And we're going to open the bands by opening the knees. And if you're finding that's causing you to collapse into your lower back a little bit, feel free to bring the knees a little bit closer in so the back flattens to the floor a bit more here. Okay, and then we can get rid of the block, we can get rid of the bands, pop the feet down to the floor. Make sure the feet are about hip distance wide, just have a little sway side to side with the knees. And we'll draw the knees into the chest. Feel free to have a little rock side to side if you want. And from there we'll rock or push ourselves all the way up to seated. And that is today's practice complete. I hope you enjoyed it. Any questions? Just give me a shout.